Can anybody hear me? Anybody? Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? I hope so. Awesome. Thank you, Barb. Here's the deal. I've seen a lot of prepping YouTubers drinking while they're live streaming, folks, and I'm not a drinker. Hello, Northwest Tennessee, Debbie's Delight. I'm not a drinker, but I did pick this up today to go in my coffee. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't drink anymore, folks. But I got to be like everybody else, right? The peer pressure done got me. Welcome to Shotgun Saturday Night. Hello, Christy. Christy, you got your own segment on here tonight, just to let you know. All right. Let's see here. Good evening, Brenda. How are you guys doing? All right. So, like I was talking with the patrons earlier today, folks. What's up, Jason? The new Vin Diesel song. I know it has nothing to do with prepping, but I'm kind of wondering if you guys have heard the new Vin Diesel song, which sounds weird because he's up until yesterday not even a singer. But it's a running debate here at the house. My two kids both think that the song is trash. My wife says it has ruined the way she looks at Vin Diesel, and I'm not even sure how to take that. Hello, Karen. Because Christy, because you're a moderator. And there's nothing shady really going on here last week. What happens is YouTube flags people a lot of times if they use the word gun or they use the word Jesus or something like that. And I spent half the night last week unmoderating comments. So I do have, I think, 3 moderators in here, and God bless them. But the new Vin Diesel song, folks, have you guys heard it? Because I'm like the only one in my house that actually likes it, and I want to hate it, but I can't hate it. I mean, this dude is Riddick, you know. I'm kind of a fan of Fast and the Furious, you know what I'm saying? But the Riddick series, the Pitch Black series, you know, it's got my heart. So I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Anybody else heard it, or am I the only one? Did I dream it? RJ likes it. Yeah, it's catchy. I don't know, man. It's completely different. But yeah, I just figured I'd mention that. And I also want to mention, if you guys caught the video this morning, I didn't realize this until it was uploading. It was too late by then. Did anybody see the squirrel in the background jumping from tree to tree? I didn't even hear the squirrel back there, but it was jumping. Yeah, I think it was near the beginning of the video. But I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Even the squirrels are jumping over here to see what's up. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, welcome. Special welcome, Coffee Club patrons, and of course, subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. What are we getting up to now, folks? Like close to, I think, 18,000. That's unreal. So I appreciate all of the likes and subscribes. Let's talk about Judge Amy Barrett. Anybody have any comments on that? The Supreme Court pick. I knew it was going to be a woman. Honestly, I thought it would be a minority, but apparently Trump, I mean, she's the one. I've been hearing that all week. So what do you folks think about Judge Barrett being nominated, and hopefully, yeah, brown squirrels, hopefully being nominated to the Supreme Court? First of all, do you folks think that that's going to happen? I had my doubts at first with the Supreme Court judge getting pushed through, but apparently Republicans have their act together, or so they're putting on the front like they have their act together in Senate. So it may not take very long at all, but it's going to lead, I think, to some fallout. Democrats in Senate are going to fight it tooth and nail. They are going to, let me see here, Anthony, I think she is a good person from what I can see. Yes, she's very pro-life, according to her record in the past, and she's also pro-Second Amendment. So she wants to severely limit the state's rights to limit your rights to own handguns. So, yeah, Democrats are going to fight that tooth and nail. Curve, it's the nominated judge, Judge Barrett, that Trump announced earlier today that would take RGB's spot. Let's see. The thing that I'm worried about is if she gets nominated, I think that at that point it's going to turn into a firestorm in terms of protesting and rioting and things like that. Because even if at that point, even if Trump loses the election, which I don't think he's going to lose, folks, but if he were to lose at that point, the Supreme Court is stacked and Democrats would be extremely handicapped as far as passing laws in the future, anything unconstitutional, which it should be, in my opinion. But I just wanted to know what you folks thought about that. People are packing in here. I'm trying to keep up here. Let's see. Not a good choice, David. Well, I mean, I don't know. I just checked her record out. I didn't know a whole lot about her, and when it was announced, I kind of went and saw she was pro-life and pro-gun, but I hadn't, followed her for 10 years or anything like that. Yeah, the cottage mouse. I'm sure the process will be a real crap show. It's going to be a crap show. I can promise you that. I'm hoping it's the only time the country will be watching C-SPAN. You know what I'm saying? It'll be must-see TV. The Bold and the Beautiful has nothing on C-SPAN when they're trying to nominate a judge. Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, she's probably, I don't know, they probably have her in a mental institution right now because everything has blown up in her face this entire last year. Roberts, that's a very good point, Peter. Roberts gets nullified with a Barrett placement. That's the thing. Like Chief Roberts was put in there to be a conservative, and he's done pretty much the exact opposite. The entire time he's been there. I mean, he's voting pretty much down ballot Democrat. So, yeah, that will neutralize that. And I know you folks are going to be shocked with this. You ready? There is chaos in Portland tonight. Yeah, I was shocked too. I couldn't believe it. Such a beautiful city, such a peaceful city. And now they have chaos in Portland today and tonight. What can you say? Look, I'm a constitutionalist. I don't see anything wrong with the 3%ers. The Proud Boys, on the other hand, I can't really get behind them. They are very much, in my opinion, the same as the NFAC. I mean, they're just going there. You know what I'm saying? The Angry Prepper ran a video earlier and made a very good point. And that was, once you put yourself in a different city, at that point, you're the instigating party. And so I get that they have the right to be there as Americans. I just don't see what it's going to accomplish other than more senseless rioting and violence. I mean, I'm like everybody else at this point. Eli, my town is being held hostage. Portland. That's the thing. Like Portland, and there are a few others. Seattle's up there as well. I legitimately feel bad for the patriots that live there because, you know what I'm saying? They might not necessarily be anarchists themselves. They might not be that hardcore liberal living there. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you can vote, and that's pretty much all you can do. The people I was just talking to one of the moderators, he lives in Virginia. And up there, it's the same thing. Virginia is basically 2 states. Once you pass, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, Roanoke, Virginia, it becomes highly liberal. But everything south of Roanoke, Virginia is conservative. I mean, it's solid red. And they've been under Democrat rule now for a long time. And Virginia, I think, personally is suffering because of it. Thumbs up for you. Thank you very much. What's what's wrong with wanting to bash a commie? Well, I mean, I'm not pro violence on any side of it. You know, if somebody wants to be a communist, I had someone actually this week call me out and trying to defend communism on the YouTube page. And normally I just ignore stuff like that, you know, because I know it's going nowhere. But if you know anything about communism, you understand how many people it's killed, how many people's lives it's destroyed, and it just doesn't work. You look at any communist country and it just doesn't work. It may work for the people in power, right? It may work for the military, but for the average citizen, I mean, it just does not work. Justin from Tennessee, West Virginia gave Virginia counties the option to join. I actually read that, I think, in the newspaper. I think, let me see here. If I'm not mistaken, it was Giles County, Virginia, or something like that. It was a border county right next to West Virginia, and I don't know why they didn't go, because it's right there in deep red territory. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much, Sonia. So I've got to call out. She's a moderator. She's a patron. And she's, of course, subscribed to the channel. She's in here tonight. And I'm not doing this to pick on her, okay? But something that almost made me want to start riding was Christy mentioned yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that she had never seen The Walking Dead. We were over on Patreon talking about The Walking Dead and how some of it is actually relevant to prepping. And she's like, I've never watched it before. And I almost fell in the living room floor. I could not believe it. Yeah, Magic Prepper, I've actually got him a shout out, man. He shouted me out on the YouTube channel earlier this week, and I thought that was awesome. You're on here, brother. But yeah, Christy, I could not believe it. I was like, "What? Drop what you're doing right now, and go start it." And I'm curious to know how far you got into. You're up to season 2 already, so you like the show. You've burned through season 1 apparently in a day. That's awesome. Did they do my boy Shane wrong, or what's up with that? Sweet J Baby has never watched The Walking Dead. Folks, it's on Netflix if you have Netflix. Hiding in Shame. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible show. I tried to know Shane was wrong, Leah. Yeah, I agree to an extent. I mean, he was kind of loco, but at the same time, he was my favorite character in terms of survival. So much relates to The Walking Dead. Yeah, Grumpy Prepper, I need to give you a subscribe. I was over in the live stream over on TJ's live stream and seen you in there. I haven't been over to give you a subscribe just yet, but I will. It's very relevant. Never seen it. It is not, if you've never seen it, I can't believe this many people haven't seen it, honestly. If you've never watched it, it's kind of not like what you expect. RJ, Bear Nation is everywhere. I'm telling you what, Bear Nation is everywhere. Like, they're going to have to come out with their own passports and stuff. You should be able to board a plane with a Bear Nation passport at this point. Fear the Walking Dead accidentally first. Yeah, Fear the Walking Dead is good, but the first season was kind of slow. It picked up about halfway through. Plus the teenage kid on there that whines all the time. I forget his name. It just got to the point where it was annoying. Things started turning south. Magic Prepper. Is that you talking about The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead? Because I haven't made it all the way through Fear the Walking Dead yet. Let's see here. Fear the Walking Dead is not that good. Season 1 is beyond awful. It was really slow. Like, you know, I stuck it out because I was a fan of The Walking Dead. But Walking Dead. I forget which season it was, but I don't want to ruin it for everybody. But after they left the prison, yeah, it went way downhill for me. I don't remember which season that was, but I liked it a lot up until that point. Hot Rod Prepper, thank you very much. God bless you, John. Stay safe and eyes wide open. Well, my eyes usually are wide open except for a few hours at night. But yeah, I'm staying as safe as I possibly can. Was that season 3, Magic? I did not realize that. Oh, man. Let's see here. Something else I want to mention, folks, and this was just fantastic. The prepper community in Fear of the Walking Dead was fantastic. Yeah, they were. They really were. Alaska Prepper. For those of you who do not follow Alaska Prepper, I want to explain to you folks really quick what he did yesterday. I think, was it yesterday, folks, or was it the day before? May have been the day before. Anyway, he donated to Bethany House, Alaska Prepper, and his followers. He's got tons of followers. They have been donating money and things for, I think it was Bethany House, through Bear Independent. And Alaska Prepper, huge shout out, man. This dude has my respect. Not only is he a class act on YouTube, but they donated $6,352.91. When I saw that sum, I had to write it down so I would not forget the sum. $6,352 they donated to Bethany House, which was it Grindstone Ministries? Okay. It was to help, I think, victims of sexual trafficking. And I just thought that that was fantastic. So a huge shout out. And I told him, during the stream, I was like, man, this is awesome. And, he replied, he's just an awesome guy, man. He really is. And next on the list was a shout out to City Prepper and also Magic Prepper. Magic Prepper, I think, has COVID, is what I'm hearing. And if that's the case, you folks please pray, because from what I understand, Magic Prepper has a couple of kids, a wife. He's like the rest of us, and COVID is real, folks. A lot of people think it's not real. It is real. We've had some extended family pass away, but they were already elderly and in nursing homes, and then we've had some 30 and 40 somethings catch it, and they've been over it pretty quick. I got the cough. Yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm super sorry to hear it. It's one of those things where unless you're living in a bunker under the ground, you never know if you're going to pick it up. I mean, it's just everywhere. It really sucks. And if I'm not mistaken, you said it was kind of like, which I didn't know this, it was kind of like cold symptoms, but you said you couldn't taste anything hardly at all, like the taste of food or anything, which means Mountain House food is edible. So there's that, at least. I want to ask your guys' opinion on something. Oh, well, first of all, folks, I have a different coffee cup. I don't know if you guys know this, on every Shotgun Saturday night, and this is actually Sons of Anarchy. I'm a huge fan of the show, but I do like The Sopranos better. Those are kind of my two guilty pleasure shows. But yeah, anyway, I want to ask advice on something here, because I did a video. My son has the same mug. Brenda Hobbs, bless you. And yes, Alaska Prepper is amazing. He is a giver and very humble. He is. And we're going to get to charity here in a few moments. But yeah, he is. He really is. I need to actually just try and shoot him an email at some point. So I ran a video, I think it was last week or maybe the end of the week before, and it was about Antifa. And I woke up. Yeah, everybody subscribe to Magic Prepper. Please take 2 seconds and do that. It's definitely worth it. And I see you, TJ. I got you on here as well. I'm going to throw you a shout out. But I ran this video on Antifa and I didn't expect it, but I had a comment from Canadian Prepper. Now, I've talked to several preppers in the prepping community, and we pretty much agree on everything. But the one thing that the Canadian prepper and I do not agree on is Antifa. And, we were respectful to each other. I can talk to him for 20 seconds and tell you the man is super educated. I have a ton of respect for him. But we disagree, and I want to get you guys' input on this, on how dangerous Antifa is, because he kind of played it down like they were not a threat. They were college kids who did not want to pay tuition. I think that was his words. And I'm like, I agree with pretty much everything else, but I got to disagree with that respectfully because I think that the ideology of Antifa, yeah, Canadian Prepper is cool. I love his channel. I'm subscribed over there and everything. I just wasn't expecting John, I wasn't expecting a message from him, to be honest with you. I didn't know that he had seen the video. He commented, it's actually in the video comment somewhere. And my two favorite preppers tonight. Thank you very much for that, Gina. I agree, Karen. I think that Antifa, as we see them right now, they're not that dangerous, but I think the danger is downplaying the ideology of Antifa because I've seen it grow over the past few months, and it kind of reminds me of the brown shirts back in the day. It kind of reminds me of World War II, as World War II was beginning to ramp up. And it's the longer they go, Magic Prepper, they're more organized than anyone gives them credit for. Yeah, man, I was just saying that today, actually, in my video. It seems like there are a bunch of just hooligans out here breaking stuff, tearing stuff up, burning things. But when you go and you look, for example, at a map of the city that they're in, they're targeting key areas, and they're actually pulling first responders away from areas that they're going to affect. So they're leaving like a third of the city totally unprotected. No ambulances can get there. And in my personal opinion, I think that they're very organized. Somebody over there is organized, maybe not the people directly in the streets, but somebody behind the scenes knows exactly what they're doing, because what this does is it terrorizes these people that are in the dead zone, basically. Alicia, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I mean, they do remind me of an early Nazi Germany, and people back in the day, they kind of shrugged the Nazis off. They're not that big of a threat. And then by the time people realized what a threat they were, I mean, we were in World War II was kicking off. So thank you for the subscribe. So, I mean, I do think they're a threat. I just wanted to know what you folks thought, man, because I'm not right on everything. When I heard Canadian preppers say, no, they're not that big of a threat, I started second guessing myself. I'm like, well, this dude's super educated. He knows what he's talking about. Maybe I've misread the deal here. So I'm going back and I'm looking and, at the maps and things. And I'm like, well, no, I see a lot of organization and there's money coming in somewhere. It's almost like they use these college age kids because, number one, they're gullible, and number two, so people won't realize how organized Antifa actually is. But that's just my opinion. Thank you, Scott. But yeah, other than that, I do like Canadian Prepper. Very good information. He is an intelligent guy, Anna. He really is. I joke with him. Let's see here. Gary, thank you very much for that donation. I joke with Canadian Prepper because I'm like, if I ever get up to the Canadian Prepper's level here on YouTube, I might actually be able to afford the gear that he sells. At that point, that dude has some killer gear, but it's expensive. Karen, I came from TJ Prep's channel. Yeah, I did too. As a matter of fact, we're getting to that. The next thing on here is to apologize to TJ Preps. Number one, I had no idea that she was broadcasting tonight live. And what I do is I'll sit down the hour or so before I go live every Saturday, and I'll start writing things down on a note card. And I watch YouTube streams. And so when I got in there on the YouTube page, I saw she was live. So I clicked on it. And, I couldn't believe that people weren't thumbs upping the video. So I just made a quick comment and said, please give this lady a thumbs up. She really deserves it. And the next thing I know, people are responding to me on there. And I'm like, no. I'm not staying long. I just, so I didn't mean to hijack your video there, TJ. If you guys are not subscribed to TJ Preps, please take a couple of seconds and do that. It's an awesome channel. She went over a list of things that are getting scarce tonight, and there are a lot of things getting scarce tonight. I also like the Angry Prepper. I love the Angry Prepper. That's probably one of my top 3 channels here on YouTube. He just tells it like it is. That is the guy, if I lived in a city, I would be listening to in terms of prepping. I can get you to safety all day long out here in the countryside, but in the city, I'm nowhere on his level. The next thing we're going to be talking about, folks, is, and I didn't realize Magic Prepper was in here, so he can probably tell you as much as I can on this, the COVID uptick. COVID cases are going up. And again, I'm sure he can tell you that firsthand. But I've been saying, folks, September, early October, there was going to be a big event happen that's really going to. Micah Brown, thank you very much for the donation, and also for all of the comments on YouTube. I see them, brother. Sometimes I have a chance to respond. Sometimes I'm in the line at Walmart or something, and I just heart it to let you know I've seen it, but I do see those. Thank you very much. I've been saying there's something that's going to polarize and basically shut the country back down. And I was kind of worried that it was going to be another round of lockdowns. And with the COVID uptick going the way it is, that's very possible. I just read, the reason I put this on here is I read this morning that Virginia's governor and his wife both have COVID-19 also. Let's just say that I live in North Dakota rural. Yeah, and I still got it. So there's that. Sherilyn, prayers for Magic Prepper. I think Antifa is dangerous. They are. They're just changing tactics. Thank you for the donation, Sherilyn. I also see you all over YouTube. I do see your comments as well. It's crazy. How you feeling, Magic Prepper? From Jason. Yeah, I mean, if he caught it up there, and that's beautiful country from what I understand, but it's remote. I would personally rather be there. I love the Southeast, but it's even more remote up there. And if he caught it up there, I can only imagine what cities are like and things like that. There's got to be tons of people walking around that don't even know they have it. And as TJ was pointing out earlier on her podcast, there's a lot of shortages. We're starting to see them in my area as well. And as I said this morning on the video, preppers catch a lot of blame for the shortages, but it just doesn't make sense, right? We've been blamed for hoarding things for months now. If we were hoarding things, which we're not, we would have all these things. We wouldn't have to hoard them for months on end. So what that tells me is that there's a supply line breakdown somewhere. Some of it's got to do with the natural disasters and the weather and stuff like that. RJ, thank you for that. Actually, COVID cases are going down here. Well, stay where you're at because they are going up in certain places. And of course, CNN uses this to, they blast it at the very top to scare people. I don't think people need to be scared, but they need to be cautious because you really can pick it up anywhere, even if you're using precautions. And then, of course, Fox News, to be fair, they play it down. And I think they play it down a little too much. So just trying to be objective there on that. Something that I want to talk about, and this is a little personal, but we're going to get into it anyway. I had a couple people this week. I guess they didn't like the video, which is fine. I understand these videos aren't for everybody that I'm shooting every morning. But they said, just another YouTuber here for the quick money. And so I want to be as transparent as possible, folks. The payout for last month through YouTube, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you was, and I can screenshot it or whatever, but it was $235.38. So I'm not here for the money, folks. I make 10 times that writing. I'm a full-time author. I've been writing since 2011 full-time. It's not about the money. The YouTubing, I talk about prepping all the time anyway, to the point where it really gets on my family's nerves. So for me, it's an outlet. And the second thing that I want to talk about, when you hear me in the videos pushing like the coffee club, which is $2 a month, or, you see the merchandise down below the videos, the shop, that's all going to charity, all of it. Any merchandise I sell, any profit whatsoever is immediately going to charity. I'm not going to be able to reach Alaska Preppers charity payout this coming up month. No way. But and then on top of that, I'm going to be taking money out of my own pocket for charity. So this is not a money deal for me. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy getting up in the morning and walking out to the back of the property. It's like therapy, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm thick-skinned. I can take pretty much any comment. I've been called everything from a racist to a pink shirt. This one's red, by the way. It just looks pink. But you know what I'm saying? That's the one thing, like, I would give somebody the shirt off my back, pink or otherwise. And it's just not, it's not the reason I'm here, folks. So there's that. And then on top of that, for those of you that are on Patreon, you already know this coming up month, we're going to start voting on where the money goes. So I'm not even picking the charity. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be something that I can pay out online. I do think that the ones that bear independent that he's tied to, they're really good charities. But if you folks have a better one, that's fine too. It's not I know, Christy, I don't owe anybody an apology. I'm not even upset with them because I think there are some YouTubers, maybe they've seen it so much. There are some YouTubers who are just I don't know if it's too commercialized or they're just here for the money or what. And they've just been, I guess, conditioned to believe that about everybody. But there are some decent people out here as well. So I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to thank the moderators. Chris A., all this work you put into this, we appreciate it so much. Thank you, Chris, for that. Magic Prepper, I'm going to go ahead and say his videos are, I've seen several, and the production quality is much better. So I can only imagine what kind of time he puts into those. I'm more along the lines of Angry Prepper. I just pull out the camera and go. You guys on Patreon have seen it. You've seen what the camera rig is attached to at the back of the property. But even so, even taking the camera out, it takes 20 minutes maybe to film the video, but then I have to come back in. I have to put it with the intro. I have to render it. That takes an hour or so. And then I have to upload it to YouTube. That takes another hour and a half, maybe. And then I have to go in and make sure, and manually make sure that they haven't put 15 commercials in the video. And so by the time it's all said and done, a 15 or 20-minute video takes 4 hours, half of a work day. You know what I'm saying? So it is a lot of work. It really is. I love it. But it is a lot of work. I can only imagine what Magic Prepper and things, people like that have to go through with all of the fancy stuff, Canadian Prepper, all that. I posted the video this morning in response to some questions and emails. And some people were like, I'm not bunkering in my house. I'm not going to run. I'm going to go out and fight. And I'm like, man, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But a lot of people on this channel, I tried to explain to them, folks, a lot of people on this channel are single parents, or they're elderly, or they're caring for, someone who's handicapped or disabled, and they just can't fight, bro. They can't pull out the AK-47 and go at it. So I'm glad some people are in that position. I would defend my home and my street, but I'm not going to leave my wife and kids here and travel 4 states over for a civil war or something like that. So it is what it is. And then finally, before we get to questions, I've had a couple of people reach out already. And obviously, I'm not throwing any names out, but I've had a few people email me. I did the video a couple of weeks ago that if people just felt overwhelmed or just mentally done with the COVID-19 and they were just down about it, that they could reach out. And I've emailed those folks back. My email should be down below, but if it's not, it's johnmdavisbooks@gmail.com. Please feel free to email me. If you're just feeling down in the dumps about the COVID or 2020, I mean, murder hornets all the way up to Vin Diesel releasing music. You know what I'm saying? That's the year that we're in right now, folks. Yeah, we're there. 2020 is almost over, but unfortunately, I think 2021 might actually be worse for the average person. TT, thank you very much. A friend of ours committed suicide on Tuesday. I'm so sorry to hear that. This is getting to the point that people don't think there's any madness anymore. I'm very sorry to hear that. It's been mentally tough for a lot of people. I was just talking to somebody last night via email, and they had kids. You know what I'm saying? And the way I try and put it for folks is everybody feels beat down right now. You know? Yeah, Sherilyn, thank you, TT, very much. Everybody feels mentally exhausted, especially preppers, because our minds are going like 24/7 all the time. But what I was telling this individual via email, excuse me, is when the shift event hits in your area, if it hits, we hope it doesn't, but if it does, there are a lot of people counting on you because you're the prepper. You're going to have to be the level-headed one. You're going to have to be the cool cucumber. You know what I'm saying? And so food is very important. Water is very important. Means of self-defense. All this stuff is extremely important. But your mental condition is also very, very important. You cannot stay plugged into the news 24/7. You know what I mean? You need to be up to speed on the news, but you cannot let the news dictate your life and how you're living. You can't let it dictate your mood, because a lot of it is yeah, the good cucumber. That's right. Sorry, that one just hit me out of the blue. I didn't even know they had an emoji for a cucumber. I'm hoping that's a cucumber, right? Don't let it beat you down. You know, one of the great things about having so many prepper channels here on YouTube, welcome to the coffee club very much. Yeah, thank you. Is you can talk to people that are like-minded, right? You can talk to them in the stream here or on the page. You can talk to them in other communities like the Angry Prepper, TJ Preps, Magic Prepper, etc., the Prepared Mind. You can talk to like-minded people who are dealing with the same stuff. You know, you're not the only person out here that's worried about your home defense, for example, or if you have enough preps. Also choose your news wisely. That's right, Christy. Thank you, James. Please, yes, please hit the thumbs up. I hear from Prepper Nurse One that's very important for being found on YouTube. A lot of people are still stumbling in. Like this morning, they're like, "Oh, I just found your channel." I'm like, "Really?" Because we've been trying to find you for months now. Welcome to the party. But yeah, Prepper Nurse One, who's also an awesome community over there. He says, by doing that small thing, folks, you can help us get found here on YouTube. But, you know, reach out to me if you need to. Here on the page, just ask. If you can't remember my email, I will get back to you the same day. Now, again, if I'm at the store or something, I'm normally going to wait till I get home, but I will respond to everybody that needs help in that way. I mean, it's just, it's sad to see anybody down like that. And I was just telling my wife yesterday, I think it was, I can only imagine how this is affecting our kids, folks. For those of you who have kids, like here where I'm at, it was left up to the state whether or not they return to school. And the county that I'm in, they decided, well, you can homeschool until it's all safe on the COVID front, or you can go ahead and send your kids back. So about half the people in the county, the working parents, went ahead and sent their kids back. They needed a babysitter. Meg H., thank you very much for that. Mentioned last week and want to say again, you are down to earth, relatable, informative, and inclusive to all prepper levels. Thank you very much. Like I said last week, even, you know, if I'm ever blessed enough to get to the level, for example, Canadian Preppers at, I consider him one of the top channels here on YouTube, and I think Magic Prepper's way up there as well. I'm going to make the time to respond to everybody on YouTube, even if it takes 8 or 10 hours a day. And I'm just down to earth like everybody else. I try to be, at least. But anyway, imagine the effect this is having on our kids. Again, about half the county sent their kids because they didn't have a sitter. The daycares were completely full. And we elected to keep our kids at home. So on top of, my wife works in education, so she's out during the day, on top of the YouTube deal, and on top of the fact that I'm in college full time working on that during the day. Philosophy sucks. Let me just throw that out there right now. I hate it. It's a made up science. I'm also having to homeschool 2 kids because we weren't sure if they were going to catch the COVID. So they've been pretty sheltered. We've been very selective about where they went and things like that. And we know it's taken a toll on them. They just canceled Halloween in our town. How do you cancel Halloween? VT Ryder, you like philosophy? I mean, the thing I like about philosophy, let me just say this real quick, is you can't score low. They ask you a hypothetical question and there's no right or wrong answer. So as long as you do the assignment, you're golden. I'm getting good grades in there. I'm just like, more befuddled than I was before on what it actually accomplishes. But anyway, so the kids are, you know what I mean? And we don't know how long it's going on. We don't know how long how long the COVID's going to be hanging around. Some places will tell you there's a vaccine that's almost ready. Well, been homeschooling for 7 months and love it. I don't mind it. It's just a lot, it's nonstop. And then of course I've got to be the daddy as well. But yeah, some places are saying they're close to a vaccine, which I'm not taking. There's no way that I'm going to take an unproven vaccine that hasn't been tested for years. But on the other hand, do I really want to expose my kids to years of wearing a mask in public, years of potentially homeschooling and missing their childhood? It sucks. It really does. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that if you need to talk or anything like that, no vaccine. I wouldn't take it either, Magic Prepper. I've already had it. So yeah, anyway, let's go ahead. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Because I'm out. I figured we'd be on the Vin Diesel song for an hour. That still blows my mind. Halloween is canceled, Nelly. It's crazy. How do you cancel something? As the mayor, I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, our town's having a bunch of trunk or treats that are sponsored by the town, and they're charging like $10 a head to get in. And there are going to be just as many people at these trunk or treats as you would come into contact with trick or treating. I don't understand it. Candy takes too long to sanitize. Yeah, I don't eat it anyway, really, every now and then. But I've never had the flu vaccine, Meg. I've had it twice my entire life, and both times I caught the flu. So I'm not a huge advocate of the flu vaccine. Then that's just me. You'll hear people saying that song sounds like him singing Groot. See, when I get reminded that Vin Diesel was Groot, it just breaks my heart. I can deal with the Fast and the Furious, but again, Pitch Black, I think of him as Riddick, and anything else just it doesn't do it for me. Justin from Tennessee, we are homeschooling our kids with 20 other kids. Okay, at church. I thought this was being done in the house for a second. Good Lord. Okay. Yeah, in the church. I've heard of that, and that's a good option. I thought you were doing, 22 kids, teaching them at your house. I was like, yeah, go ahead and reach out, brother. I know you need to talk to somebody. "2021 will be very interesting, Bob. It's going to be. I mean, look, Trump said something last night at his rally. He's outright admitting that it's going to be months after the election before they even know who the president is. president-elect. I'm sorry, I didn't see Leah's question. If she can post it again. I just happened to catch yours at the end. It's fine. I'm sorry. But yeah, he admitted as much, and it doesn't sound like he's going to accept the results of the election if he feels cheated. And on the flip side, I mean, I would not put it past either party at this point. I don't think Republicans have to cheat, but yeah, let's see here. Brain eating thing in Texas water. I saw a little bit of that on the news this morning. But that's just one of those things where I didn't even want to. Who wants to add another one to it? You know what? It's like Jumanji now, 2020. I cannot believe that I stayed up on New Year's Eve 2019 and waited for the ball to drop for this. This is insane. This whole year. How do we prepare, or what do we tell our kids? Leah, it just depends on what you mean. Prepare for what? Or are we preparing for 2021? Are we the COVID long term? Let's see here. It's SHTF. Okay. You don't want to give them all the details, Leah. What we do is each of our kids have a bug out bag, and we have the things that our kids need, you know, in our bug outs. But for their bug out bags, they have fun things in there. You know what I'm saying? Like coloring books, some of the older DSs or Game Boys or whatever they're called, things like that. They pack the stuff that they would normally use. And where I'm at, occasionally 2 or 3 times a year, we'll have a tornado watch or warning or something like that. So we go to the basement. And so they're used to a few times a year going down there. Maybe just like they would do at school, maybe practice once a month with, you know, okay, we've got 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and grab what we need. But you don't want to panic your kids. You know what I'm saying? They're already going through way too much right now. But you want to make sure they're prepared. It is tough. It really is. You want to be careful how much you tell your kids about the potential of a shift situation. Plywood your windows. Northern Girl Hobbies. Yeah, you can plywood your windows, but I mean, it's got to be a last resort. Like, you've got to live in the suburbs outside of a city, and the city's on fire, and you know they're coming in your direction, or you suspect it's coming. Nobody wants to live in a house where the windows are shut with plyboard 24/7. You know what I mean? I would make sure. Yeah, you're very welcome, Leah. I wish there was a better answer, but there's just not. Our daughter's 11, and so she's kind of into prepping, and she understands a lot more than my son. But we don't want to freak my son out. We just want to make sure he's prepared, and has things to do. You know what I mean? Because we don't know how long we'll be away from the house or anything like that. You definitely want to make sure you have all of the things your kids need, like medicines and things like that. My daughter's 11. Yeah, it's a crazy age. God, what is that group that split up, the One Direction? Harry Styles. She talks about Harry Styles nonstop, and I don't even know who it is other than the dude was in a band or something. You know what I mean? And he's I'm just throwing it out there right now. I don't think he is, at least. I'm like, man, you need to really find somebody wearing camo, girl. You know what I mean? To hang up on your wall. Take them camping. That's Damien. That's a very, very good suggestion. And if you don't have any camping sites near you, Leah, you can take your kids hiking, something like that. Just simple stuff. Get them used to the area that you would think about bugging out in, so they're not terrified if it comes to that. Do you think gangs will be a major problem in a shift situation, American Patriot? Well, they're a major problem now in some of the cities. The problem with a shift situation there are not enough law enforcement or even National Guard to protect the cities. They want to give the illusion that there is. They want to go ahead and line them up in the street, and it's a show of force. But when push comes to shove, there's not enough of them. The National Guard can't be everywhere at one time. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, the potential. You take the Chaz and the Chop in Seattle, for example. They lost control of part of their city. And I know that it was supposed to be peaceful in that area or whatever, but it was basically gang controlled. I mean, these people were operating like a gang. They had a leader and all of that going on. Good night, Magic Prepper. I hope you get to feel better, my brother. But yeah, I mean, it was basically gang controlled, and I cannot imagine being one of these individuals in that city, in that area. I mean, because you're just pinned in at your home. So yeah, definitely they could become an issue. Can you teach how to choose a bug out location, Foxy's? It depends on your geographical location. I can definitely teach you how to pick one out if you're in the type of terrain that I'm in, but I don't want to give you bad advice on a desert or something like that, or a very cold climate. The terrain that I'm in now, you want a lot of foliage, you want cover from the air, right? So you want thick trees overhead, you want a water source nearby, but you also want to keep in mind that other people looking to escape trouble are going to be looking for water. It's no coincidence that most of the major cities in the United States are located near water. People need water. So I would personally pick a place that's 25, 30 minutes hike from a waterway. That way you're far enough away that you can tuck away and hide, but you're close enough to get the water you need. But that's just me personally. Know where your natural springs are. Yeah. And if you have purification available, streams, rivers, anything like that, even ponds, if it comes down to it. Another lockdown will kill restaurants, salt and pepper. It's going to devastate them. We've been out to eat, we've been out to eat twice since the initial lockdowns. And both times that we went out to eat, it was desolate in there. It was a ghost town when we went in, and I've never seen so many waiters come to the table asking if we needed something, which is great, I guess, but they're hurting for money bad. A lot of them are chain restaurants, and especially your smaller restaurants. If you can afford it, support the local businesses in your area any way that you can, because they've got to be hurting. The overhead on especially restaurants, wow, I cannot imagine trying to pay that overhead with what they're making. You can boil snow for water. Yeah, you can, Kiki. That's a good tip. As long as you're not in New Mexico or Arizona. I don't want to give advice. I think Prepper Princess, she gives great advice she's down that way toward the desert. She would know how to survive there. Off-grid property. We keep praying we have time. I think you do have time, Lori. It's going to be finding the property, because a lot of people are leaving cities right now and they're looking for property. You want to look for something that's flat and, again, has foliage. You don't want to be visible from the road. You want to find some property that's not necessarily visible from the road. But yeah, I mean, in North Carolina, for example, as soon as a house goes on the market, or even property that you wouldn't think people would buy, I mean, it's sold within a week. Some realtors here are like, man, as soon as I get a listing, it's gone. And people are moving from out of state and taking this property. People that have money in cities don't want to be there when half the city's on fire and there's looting everywhere. Who would want to live in that if they had a choice, Do you think there will be a single defining moment? Let me try and track back up here. This is fun. Do you think there will be a single defining moment that's really SHTF? I think, good night, Karen. I think that the election, the aftermath of the election, I think it's all leading up to that. I think we're going to see some bad times before the election. I think we could necessarily see a second lockdown as well. But I think after the election, no matter who wins, the fallout is going to be devastating, because you're basically going to have one half of the country refusing to recognize the results of the election, because there will be so much controversy. And you think the nation is divided right now, it's going to be 100 times worse following the election, unless Joe Biden says, okay, Trump, you're the man, you won. I don't see that happening. And then the same with Trump. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, I put a couple bids in at fair market value and they were tripled. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, they're flying up through here. Yeah, I mean, property value, I mean, even in lower property value areas, it's going up fast because people are just trying to get out. I mean, maybe they're just getting to the suburbs of the city, but a lot of them are moving completely out of state. I seen one article, I think it was last week though. It was in New York. The people came in to open the U-Haul business, and there was a line of like 130 people standing in line waiting to rent U-Hauls. And a lot of people were having to drive out of New York City, sometimes even out of state, to rent a U-Haul and then drive it back to load it up and then drive it wherever they were going. It's crazy. If Biden wins, Peter says, if Biden wins, there'll be a shift event. Oh, yeah, no doubt. If Biden wins, Trump's going to accuse him of cheating, and probably rightfully so. If Trump wins, the Democrats are just going to go loco. But the thing is, again, we're not going to have a clear winner for months. It's going to have to go through the legal system, and then the House Speaker, at some point could potentially become the president. And we could have a situation where we have three people claiming to be the natural president. And then what? You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who's in charge, you have chaos, right? Anywhere, whether it's a job. You ever worked at a job and had two people who were in positions of authority telling you to do two totally different things, and you didn't know who to listen to because you didn't know who the boss was, right? Now imagine a country in that situation, a country that's already at each other's throats, and you already have all this civil unrest. It's not going to be good. Praying for anyone in that situation, but Pelosi or AOC, then it gets really bad. Oh, I cannot imagine. I did a video on it just because it about ripped my heart out to do the video of Nancy Pelosi potentially becoming president of the United States. I can't imagine. Can you possibly imagine Pelosi as president? This woman has no actual beliefs whatsoever. You can dig back 5 years and she's saying the total opposite thing on everything. All of her positions have totally changed. And I think that's why it's so important that they push this judge through on the Supreme Court, Judge Barrett, before it's too late, before the election, because then that would really kneecap Pelosi or even Joe Biden. Pelosi is the devil, Bobby. Northern Girl Hobbies, thank you. Thank you for the chat. Tea money. Well, I have some tea here. My wife is actually the tea drinker. She does not drink coffee, folks. It's crazy. It's madness. But she's huge into iced tea. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, who goes to the coffee shop and gets tea? Who does that? I'm always telling my wife, "Are you nuts?" Nobody does that, but she does. You guys are mentioning AOC. I don't even know how she got into Congress. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know how it had to have been money backing her or something. How did she potentially even get on a ticket to get into Congress? It's nuts. G.H. Griffin, I have not, Angry. I have not seen that. Views on Amy Barrett. I was just telling them earlier at the beginning of this podcast that I don't know a whole lot about her. When I saw it announced, I went back and I looked at some of the things that she had ruled on, and she is definitely pro-life, which people have mixed feelings on that, I guess. And she's definitely pro-gun. So, it is what it is. There were a few, I think she'd given a verdict in a few cases where the states were trying to limit access to guns. And she said that something to the effect of states should not be able to supersede the constitutional rights to own a gun. She is definitely, Micah, she's definitely good for the Second Amendment. That's another reason they need to get her in there. Some people, they'll message me and tell me, the Second Amendment's not going anywhere. But you let Joe Biden become president and run for 4 or 8 years, and the Second Amendment, you guys would be lucky to have stun guns when it's over. I'm not even joking about that. Let's see here. Voting is rigged. Trump will win. The problem is nobody really knows. I mean, there's so much confusion now. There's so much confusion with the election, and I don't think the average citizen trusts the process now. That's where they've messed up, and I don't know which side really started that. But now when you go vote, you don't even know if your vote's going to make it where it's supposed to go. Yesterday, when I went out to the box to check the mail, we got a letter from AARP, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm not that old, folks. But it wasn't for me. It was for the people who had lived in our house, and we've owned our house for 9 years. So this was somebody that lived here 10 years ago. And I'm thinking if they sent her mail, she could potentially get a ballot in the mail, and I could vote for this lady. It's nuts. It's crazy. I don't even know who the woman was that lived here before. I'm concerned for the mass exodus. Let's see. Hold on now. I saw a question. I think I can only imagine how bad it would be if there was a collapse. New York's in bad shape. Yeah, they're in bad shape. I wasn't in New York for September 11th, but I can remember seeing on TV that they were in really bad shape. The funny thing is, I shouldn't say funny, but the strange thing is, after September 11th, that was the most that I've ever seen the left and the right wing in this country come together. And now New York looks nothing like that. I don't understand what's happened since September 11th to divide the country the way it's divided. People blame Trump, but look, the country was divided before he won president. If it wasn't divided, which is worse, New York or Chicago? I'll get to that in just a second. If the country wasn't divided, Trump never would have become the president. We would have Clinton right now. So we were all divided before, Chicago or New York, which is worse? Chicago, simply because they've been off the rails for a decade now. They have so much crime in Chicago. The thing that kills me about the BLM movement, and I respect people's right to protest, okay? But if Black Lives Matters, go to Chicago, you know what I'm saying, and help the police get that city under control, or go protest in front of the mayor's house until she calls President Trump and asks for the National Guard. They need something done there bad. He's limited in what he can do without the mayor asking for help. You know what I'm saying? Officially, it has to be official, and it's just a mess. What's your opinion on the digital dollar or currency? Oh, you don't want my opinion. There's zero value in the digital currency. I do see them trying to implement it very soon. What's happened is we are a country that has been living off of credit and borrowing money for so long and running the national debt up for so long that we will never be able to pay it back. And the people in charge know we'll never be able to pay it back, right? Because they've been lining their pockets with a lot of this money. And so they really need an excuse. They've been needing an excuse for a while to do a reset and switch over to digital. That way they can shift the blame over to something else. And COVID-19 is here to save the day. So I do see them pushing for an all digital system. But the problem is it doesn't have any value. For example, silver and gold, precious metals, that has intrinsic value. It's worth something. Numbers on a screen, they really aren't worth that much. They'll get to the point where people will take it, I think. And I think Alaska Prepper actually made this point, and it's an extremely good point. If you're having a yard sale, or you go to a flea market or something like that, or you sell your friend something, and you want it to be off the books, how are you going to do that with all digital currency? Everything is tracked. And so even when they implement it, people will find a way around it, even if it's bartering. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. I think they need to, they made this mess. They need to fix it the right way and quit spending money that we don't have. Just my opinion. Barter's excellent. I mean, it's fail safe. You know what I mean? I'm pro-American, folks, but the government right now, and for the last little while, I mean, what is their job? What are they doing exactly? And I don't mean the Trump presidency. I mean, for the last decade or so, what are they doing exactly? They are taxing the crap out of us. They're providing us with substandard schools and education. They're indoctrinating kids, basically. And they can't protect people in larger cities. You know, there are people in Chicago paying tax. Gold, silver, and bullets. That's right. There are people in cities paying tax and in Chicago, and they can't even go outside without the threat of getting shot. You know, your number one job as a government should be to protect people. That's like why you exist. And so the question becomes, if you cannot protect people, why do you exist? Why are you still here? Why are you taxing people to death? It's just ridiculous. It really is. Coins will have value in a shift situation. They really will. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Look at, I hate to bring it up. I know it's a talking point or whatever, but if you look at Venezuela, gets talked about on the news a lot. They have so much paper money that people are throwing it out of windows over there because it's worthless. It's worth less than the money in my Monopoly game in here in the closet. You know, I mean, it's just not worth anything. But for thousands of years, people have been chasing gold and silver. I mean, it just has intrinsic value and it's not going anywhere. Do you think an EMP will be here? I think it's possible, but I don't think it's very probable. There was a report, I actually posted it on the YouTube page a couple of weeks ago, just to forewarn everybody, but not to get them in a panic. I don't think it's very possible. I think more possible would be blackouts in certain cities due to wildfires, or if there were to be a civil war. A lot of people do not give the left enough credit. Let me just say this, okay? I hear this all the time here in my own town and also online. They say, well, if there's a civil war, because everybody in my town is locked and loaded, myself included, but They're like, oh, if there's a civil war, we've got all the guns, we've got the army, we've got the police, and that's very true. In a frontal assault, we would win very quickly. The right would. However, the left has Silicon Valley, and they have the ability to completely lock us down out of the internet, completely shut our power grid down. Let that sink in. They could basically drop us back to, before the time of electricity over on the right. A lot of us would know how to survive, but we've become used to these things. And so they could hurt us in other ways. What are good items to have for barter? Well, I think food's going to be number one, but I don't know that I would barter food. Coins are always good. But the number one thing that I would go for, quite frankly, is people's vices. Things like tobacco and alcohol, coffee, tea, things like that. You can get it fairly cheap still. And these are things people do not want to do without. Medicines, but again, I'm the kind of prepper that, like antibiotics, I'm not bartering those off in case my kids get sick. I'm not bartering food off. Ammunition, if you have a ton, you can barter it right now. I mean, it's hard to find and very expensive. But yeah, alcohol and coffee for sure. Tobacco, a lot of people like their tobacco, stuff like that. What do you think about bringing up prepping to neighbors? I think it's a good idea with your immediate neighbors. You don't have to go randomly. Yeah, I'm going to get the Taurus. It's a done deal, Jimmy. I've just got to get back up there and get it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to get that. You don't have to knock on your next door neighbor's door like Jehovah's Witness and say, hey man, what do you think about what's coming? You should start prepping. You don't have to bring it up in that way. If you happen to see them, you know what I'm saying? Just flag them down and small talk them a little bit and say, man, you've been watching the news. It's getting crazy, right? And then, slowly work your way into, at the very least, an arrangement to where, if this stuff kicks off, man, you keep an eye on my house, I'll keep an eye on your house. Most neighbors are totally okay with that. It makes them feel safer. And, they might say, yeah, I've been prepping for a while or something like that, or I need to get into that prepping, and that can open it up a door there. That's what we've done here on the street. We have probably 20 houses, and 19 of us are on board. We had some new neighbors buy a house, and we don't really know anything about them yet. My wife says it's like that 80s movie, The Burbs. Nobody knows about them. We're like all curious. They eat a lot of pizza, I'll tell you that. What are the chances of them taking our guns? Linda, well, let me see here. Justice Barrett, who Trump just nominated, if they confirm her, the chances of them taking your guns are zero. I can't do that. Everybody will say that's the white power symbol. Let me do this. I don't want to be accused of being a racist. Zero. If she gets confirmed through the Senate. If she does not, it all depends on the election. If Trump somehow wins, you know what I'm saying? My dude, Indiana prepper. If Trump wins, they're not going to get your guns for at least 4 more years. But at some point, we're going to have a Democratic president. And at some point, when we do, they are coming for your guns. Now, they may not take your pistols and they may not take your shotguns, but they're going to try and strip everything else. Because you always hear, right? We hear it in the South. What do you need an AR-15 to deer hunt with for, right? People don't understand this is not about deer hunting. It's not. The Second Amendment's not there because people like to hunt and eat venison. The Second Amendment is there because we want to be able to protect ourselves if the government goes crazy on us. That's why it's there. And so I think if Justice Barrett gets confirmed, you won't have anything to worry about. I think I would like to know who's going to go around and take the guns, even if Joe Biden becomes president. Who's he going to send to take the guns is my question. Most police officers are pro Second Amendment. Most military, most enlisted are Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment. Who's going to take the guns? Is he going to send Kamala Harris around door to door to pick them up? I don't think so. So yeah, that in itself might trigger a civil war. The blue helmets. Let the blue helmets come. I tell you one thing right now, let them come. I would hedge my bet on the veterans, not even the military. Take the military and the police out of it for a second. The veterans in this country, I believe, could beat the blue helmets, the UN, head to head. I really do. I don't think veterans get enough credit for being able to use firearms. They've had the training. They know what's up. They've probably had better training than the UN soldiers, to be quite frank. So let them come. Thank you to Prepper Nurse 1. Okay, Prepper Nurse 1, here again, folks. He says, if you do a thumbs up, really quick, I would appreciate it. It does help us be found. Thank you very much, whoever just thumbed up. It will 100% force a civil war. No way. No, that's it. You're exactly right. We are one of the last countries that is armed, that has an armed civilian population. The threat of globalism is real. Agenda 21 is real. It's posted on my Patreon page in its entirety. Okay, this was a meeting. It did happen with UN officials, and they do plan on taking control of the entire world. And we're like the one place that they've not been able to disarm. So if they try and take your guns, folks, if they try and take your firearms, it's not to protect you, it's to execute their agenda. And that's the thing, that's why you need them, right? Because we are the only thing really, gun owners now, standing between a severe minority of billionaires who want total control, right? It's not even about the money for them anymore. They have such crazy money. Now it's a control thing. They want to be able to be puppet masters of everybody in the world, right? And they've almost done it. They've almost accomplished it. And I do believe that's why Antifa's here, to cause chaos, to kind of overthrow the Constitution and get the guns. Just my opinion. From my cold dead hands. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I think that is the plan. What role is the military going to play in the near future? This is where it gets interesting, Brandon. We've already had one military general come out and say that if Trump says he's not going to, for example, if Biden somehow wins and Trump says, no, you cheated, I'm not going anywhere. One general has already said, well, I'm not going to use the enlisted under me to protect Trump. However, Trump is wildly popular with a lot of enlisted people in the military. And so he's going to have generals that basically go and say, you're not going to remove President Trump. He's the valid president. And then you're going to have, I think, some generals side with Joe Biden, or even, God help us all, Nancy Pelosi, if the Speaker of the House takes over. And so you could have the military potentially fracture into 2 or 3 entities and back 2 or 3 different people. In Venezuela, this is what's going on right now, folks. They have 2 presidents. And the people that live there don't know which one's the illegitimate president and which one's duly elected. And the military fractured in half, and they're now fighting against each other. I mean, that's just the way it is. If we have multiple presidents, the military, they're going to have to, their first duty is to the Constitution and then also to the president. But who's the president? They don't know. And if Biden and Trump are both claiming to be about the Constitution, who are they going to back? You know what I mean? coming into the suburbs. Let me go up here really quick. Sorry. Barb, do you think that Antifa and other terrorists will be coming into the suburbs? I think that they think they're coming into the suburbs. They've said as much. The NFAC, as a matter of fact, what's his name? Grandmaster Jay. He has said as much as well. He wants the state of Texas as reparation for slavery. And if they don't get given the state of Texas, they're going to go in and take it, according to him. And then I've also heard Antifa outright say, we're going to be leaving the cities at some point. And I think they're coming out. But what I would strongly encourage them to rethink that, because what flies in downtown Portland ain't going to fly in rural America. You know what I'm saying? There's too many people that it's just not going to happen. They're not going to find soft targets once they leave their little comfort zone, So just be ready for it. I mean, keep your eye on the news and continue to prep. The election could be the start of a civil war with a fractured military. Yeah, Michael, and worse even is there's going to be a severe food shortage, I believe. We're starting to see it now. So imagine being in a Great Depression, not having enough food to feed everybody. And then on top of that, you have a civil war, right? And during a time of civil war, if soldiers are hungry, they're going to come into your house and take what you have, or they're going to try at least. So, I mean, it's ticking up to a mess. 2021 may be a very bad year. Supply chain is vulnerable, Ben. It's a joke is what it is. We've become too dependent on goods and food. I can't get over that. Food from other countries. Like, we have enough here, but we continue to send what we grow out of the country and then import. And this is why you're welcome, Barb. This is why I say, on some of the videos, you go to get a loaf of bread or something, that bread's only been there for 2 hours before you came in to buy it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly right, Ben. With the lockdowns, we started to see the supply line just, states have been caught. I will try to drop a link in case you folks haven't seen it, but you can Google it pretty quickly. The state of Washington was caught outright hoarding food by the pallets in warehouses. And when they got called out on it, the guy that's over the warehouse slipped up and said, yeah, we're bidding against other states. So at this point, we know all of the states are bidding against each other for pallets of food, right? Because they know something bad's coming food-wise. And then they're shifting the blame off to people. How dare you buy 6 cans of green beans, right? You're hoarding. They're trying to shame you. Don't let them shame you. You get what you need. You get what your family needs, because you don't want to be the one without a chair when the music stops. You know what I'm saying? The Civil War will be televised. It will be on YouTube. There are live streams almost every night of the protests/riots. I've watched them a couple of times, and the illiteracy that I hear coming out of these people's mouths, I can't watch it, but so long, the English is too broken for me. Watch Ice Age Farmer. All of the prepping channels, thank you for that, TT. All of the prepping channels, we watch Ice Age Farmer because that dude is awesome. He does his research. Not only will he tell you what's coming, but he provides all of the sources of where he's getting the information. And so we all go to him. I go to him. Barry Independent goes to him. I think the Prepared Mind goes to him. He's just fantastic. And we know we can trust the information we get there. When it comes to food shortages, there's a war on food globally. It's part of the globalist plan, folks. Agenda 21, y'all check it out. Prepper Now is good too. I've not checked that out, but I need to. Virginia O'Neill, thank you very much. Ice Age Farmer will, yeah, Michael. Ice Age Farmer will make you start prepping food if you don't already do it. Every time I watch Ice Age Farmer, right here lately, he's been talking about, hey Lord, he's been talking about how they are, I think it's called upcycling, where they're taking trash. Like, for example, you go to Burger King or whatever, you don't finish everything on your tray, you throw it away. So now the gig is they're taking this trash and they're recycling food that's been eaten off of, and they're upcycling it into, and it's called plant-based when you see it in the grocery stores. When I saw this over there, yeah, he immediately had me. I was going out buying Ready Wise, the big containers and everything. I'm like, nah, man, not me. I'm not eating somebody's scraps, man. Come on, this is ridiculous. Rob, the best survival tool you have is your brain. That's it. I mean, you can stockpile preps all day long, but skills, I take skills over anything else. The first time I tried to start a fire without like a lighter, it took me about an hour, and I realized, okay, this is not as easy as it looks on TV, and I got better at it. You know what I'm saying? Skills. Yeah. You'd be surprised what you eat when you get really hungry, Grim. That's the whole thing, Grim, is thank you, Virginia. That's the thing. Like, I think that they are purposely doing away with a lot of the food resources that we have, to force people into that lane to where they're ready to eat garbage and they're ready to eat upcycled stuff. Because according to Agenda 21, for those of you who are new to Agenda 21, I can't talk about it too much on here. YouTube will ghost the channel. But again, you can do your own research. The whole idea is, the reason the UN had this meeting is they realize the world's population is going to be up here and the food resources are down here. And they realize they're running out of food and they don't know what to do. And so I think that they are trying to basically starve people out. They're coming up now with synthetic, they're using, it almost looks like 3D printers I saw on Ice Age's channel, but they're using synthetic steaks. It comes out like a liquid and then they form it and everything. I mean, this world's getting crazy. It really is. There's a war on food. There truly is. Please hit the like button. Let's support John. Thank you, Liz. Yes, thank you very much. How many people on here wish they had listened to more of their grandparents' stories? Sherilyn, let me tell you, before I got into prepping, my wife's grandparents, God love them, they were kids during the Depression. And we used to laugh at them because they would hoard everything. I mean, everything. We would go stay the weekend, okay? And they're still alive. The golf cart that I went and got last week was actually for her granddad. But anyway, so you would use all the coffee up at their house and it would come in like the plastic container because they buy everything off brand. And so I would go throw the container away and her granddad's like, no, I'm going to use those for nails. I'm like, okay. I mean, they throw away nothing. They repurpose everything. And we used to laugh until the point that we started prepping and we're like, well, maybe they're onto something here. And then when the COVID lockdowns hit, we realized they are very wise. They understand. Should we charge for extra groceries, seeing how it could be gone soon? Georgia Sunshine, I don't think Augustin long-term food, it is pretty good for the price. It's not the best out there. Ready Wise is my favorite, and then also Legacy. But Augustin Farms for the money is pretty good. Should we charge for extra groceries? I don't think that I would charge for extra groceries. I think I would, like, not on a credit card. If you're going to go that route, get the freeze-dried food that lasts 25 years, like we're talking about, the Augustin Farms, etc. But if it's standard groceries, I think I would just be as thrifty as possible. Go after the dirt cheap stuff like rice and beans and stuff. You know, you don't want to go into debt for it. shave a dime here and there and let that add up and get some extra spaghetti or something like that. Let's see. Grocery prices have skyrocketed, Christy. Yeah, same thing here. Australia is pretty bad from what I understand. We get the news we get is so slanted, we don't really know what's going on in Australia. But from everybody I've talked to over that way, it's running out of food. Yeah, Legacy. Legacy, and you can actually get it at a discount if you go to Survival Atlas Shelters on YouTube. I email back and forth with him. Sometimes he sells it. He's like a authorized distributor of, I think it's Legacy, and you can get it at a discount through his channel. Save a little money. Do you think we'd be vulnerable to foreign invasion, EMP, if civil war broke out? American Patriot? Yeah, I kind of think that's why Antifa's here. Antifa, again, they look like a bunch of illiterate college-age kids out in the street just vandalizing. But when you zoom it out and you understand, okay, they're here in this area of the city on purpose to pull police all the way over here. You understand? Once you see the organization behind Antifa, you begin to understand somebody else is pulling the strings, and they're highly communist. And, whether that's Russia, whether that's China is up for debate, but I do believe one of the two have sent them here to cause chaos and weaken this country. Have adult kids who don't prep. Let's see here. My grandchildren, any suggestions on how to get them? I just posted a video this morning, RJ, on that very topic. The best way to do it is to explain to them the rising prices in food and that it's much better to go ahead and buy extra now as opposed to later, because they're going to save money in the long run. That way, if a shift event hits, they're prepared, and then if it doesn't, they've saved money. Antifa will go away if Joe Biden wins. Yeah, but unfortunately, so will your right to protect yourself. They won't need Antifa at that point. Antifa is just here to cause total chaos, to tax the system, to weaken the country, I think, and further divide the country. And then if a civil war breaks out, it doesn't matter who wins the civil war. The country is going to be devastated. Both sides are going to be weaker. The country as a whole definitely is going to be weaker. You're welcome, RJ. And then if somebody is going to come like boots on ground invasion, that would be the time they would do it. Now, I don't think China has the balls to do it because they're pretty much next door neighbors with India, and India has not been getting along with China. India is an ally, and India would probably just straight go into China and take it over. I think China would go the route of a shadow war, or Russia. They would heavily arm North Korea or Iran, kind of like a junkyard dog, arm them up and send them in instead. China wants us gone bad. I mean, they really do. They want Trump to lose so bad because he's killing them, but they've wanted us gone for a while. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Peter. It strategically doesn't make sense for China to try and fight a long distance war with the United States. It would make more sense for them to arm someone else and send them over. At that point, they really don't have a whole lot to lose. Russia would send us weapons if China is used against us, Micah. I believe that's also right, but they would want something in return. And my fear is Russia would want Alaska. And I'm not sure that the Canadians would want Russia right next door. So that would actually, in my opinion, bring the Canadians into it. Could possibly stem into another world war, which none of us want. We don't need Russian weapons. No, we don't right now. But after a civil war, it's hard to tell what we would need, honestly. see. Give Russia East Germany. Well, Trump probably would, but that's not up to Trump. Yeah, nobody wants war. I mean, it is Philly. It truly is. Yeah, Russia has said for a decade or so they want Alaska back. They want it back because strategically, it's a great spot. I mean, they could put pressure on the United States because the only buffer would be Northwest Canada. But the problem is, who wants Russia as a next door neighbor? You know, Canada stands to lose a lot if that happens. Sleeping in my car tonight, freedom seeker. What's up? You just decide to sleep in your car? You don't have anywhere to go, or what's up with that, man? Yeah, they would be on our continent. You're right, Jason. Good evening. Canada, I mean, Canada stands to lose a lot if we go into a civil war. You know what I'm saying? Because the United States would be total chaos, and then really the only buffer between them and Russia is Alaska. Alaskans are tough, but I mean, it's a desolate place. There's not a whole lot of people there to stand in the way. Yeah, thanks, Jason, for the questions here. It is moving fast. I've always heard the prepared mind talk about how you can't see it. It's going so fast, and I'm like, man, I need to get a huge computer screen or something. Do you think the cold will shift riots to the south? Thanks, Jason. I don't know. I think the only thing that's going to shift the riots, I mean, some of the cities in the South will probably see him eventually. You know, I mean, Atlanta's seen him already. Just depends on how much these people that shout BLM and how much these Antifa people are willing. They look miserable now walking through the streets and stuff. We'll see how dedicated they are, I guess. I do not, Army Mom. I need to. We've outsourced so much industry. Yeah, this has happened over decades, Brandon. I mean, it's just weakened the country. I think that's one of the reasons that Trump was elected. People realize this. They're sick of seeing it. When will food be unavailable, John? It depends. If lockdowns come back, almost immediately. If lockdowns happen again, which it may vary state to state, but if lockdowns are implemented again, people are going to panic right off the bat, and they're going to start panic buying. You do know you can put the chat in slow-mo. I did not, actually. I did not know that. I need a shirt or something that says newbie on it. I'm in California. We are going down the toilet, Nelly. I've heard Northern California is still conservative, but the rest of it, yeah, I wouldn't want to be there, honestly. You're welcome, Maria. You're very welcome. God bless you. There will not be another lockdown. I guarantee it. J.A. Well, I hope so. I just had a patron earlier today confirm that there would be in the state that they're in, but I've yet to hear what state it was. They haven't gotten back to me. I like your content, John, and I've gained a lot of prepper knowledge from you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Shelley, very much. Michigan is still in lockdown. Man, the governor of Michigan, wow. She is like, a 1600s queen or something. Like, she has that place locked down. I legitimately do feel bad. What's her name? Gretchen something. Yeah, man, she just has went overboard. Oh, you talking about overreach right there. She has went above and beyond. Stuck in phase 3. Replace her. Yeah. Gretchen Whitmer. That's right. Yeah, that's the problem though. In some of these liberal states, there are conservatives there, but all they can do is vote. And then if there's not enough votes, they just are stuck with it. That's what's going on north of me in Virginia. They've got Northam, and he's horrible. He is horrible. But from what I understand, what's her name? Amanda Chase, she's picking up steam on him. Gretchen sounds like an evil woman's name. Yeah. Something off the Lord of the Rings or something. Things pretty normal in Virginia. Is that bad? Depends on which area of Virginia you're in, from what I understand. Northern typically gives to, they call him Lord Northern. The people in Virginia I know anyway, and he typically gives to people in Northern Virginia, and the people in Southern Virginia they get one broke off in them. They get almost nothing from the state except told what to do. Civil war across the globe. Well, we're already starting to see that, Hillbilly. We're starting to see like the riots and stuff, the protests in other countries as well. It's getting bad. And that's what I was saying early on in the live stream tonight. The ideology behind Antifa is more dangerous than Antifa right now. Northam's trash. Blackface Northam. How does somebody stay governor after they get caught doing that? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not mistaken, that guy was lecturing people in Virginia on racism, and then that came out on him, and he's still in power somehow. I don't understand that. Witchcraft. I did not know that, Katie, actually. Virginia governor is a Democrat. Yeah. They've had one, I think, for a while now. I mean, it's just, and I think he's went after their guns. I think they had a rally either the beginning of this year or late last year. People from all over the country, pro Second Amendment people, were coming to support the Second Amendment there because he was trying to take guns. And they always word it, to where it doesn't sound bad, but at the end of the day, they're coming for the guns. Everybody knows. I don't know why they even do the song and dance. If it was a Republican, it'd be a huge scandal. Yeah, they would have been in prison or something. But no, not him. He's still up there dictating. North Carolina here. Catherine, what's up? To join West Virginia. Hey, West Virginia, that's a good place to go off the grid if anybody is interested. I go to West Virginia quite often, and that place, other than a couple of cities, is backwoods. If you know how to survive off the grid, you can make it a long time in West Virginia. And it's beautiful. I think I've heard people call it God's country here in North Carolina. Tina from West Virginia, she's got it on her screen name. Nothing wrong with that. Can you see veterans of every branch forming their own militia in a civil war? Well, from what I understand, a lot of the 3%ers are veterans. But yeah, definitely. I mean, smaller towns and communities, a lot of the veterans know each other anyway. They meet at the VFWs and stuff. So yeah, it ain't going to take much. Almost heaven, West Virginia. Raleigh, North Carolina here. We're breaking some windows downtown in Raleigh. Wow. BLM Antifa. Thank you for that, Marley. I did not know that. Yeah, I can never say BLM/Antifa because I always get hateful emails and stuff. People tell me they're not the same thing. So I guess there's some good BLM folks out there who truly do believe that it's going to help and they're peaceful, but mostly it's been hijacked by Antifa. You're absolutely right. There's nothing like having 22-year-old white guys yelling Black Lives Matters while they're beating down black police officers in the streets. Really makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? They move together. Yeah, pretty much. But you better not call them the same thing, right? Or you get yelled at. Yeah. What are your thoughts on keeping cash in savings or at home in your safe? Um, I worry about how safe cash is going to be in savings in the bank, because I do see a financial collapse and a reset coming to digital at some point. I don't know when, but I wouldn't keep it all at home. Normally, what we try and do is half and half. We'll leave some in there, and then um, also have cash on hand, because a lot of people, we've had this happen before. Um, the grid will go down here for a little while, or card readers or something like that, and they'll post the signs that say cash only. And I always think about, what if my kids need some kind of medicine over the counter, or what if they need to go to the doctor and the only option is to pay in cash, right? But at the same time, you don't want to keep $200,000 in cash in your house. I would invest in some silver and gold if you have the money. Gold is astronomically high right now. You're going to pay a huge premium. So I do like silver better because of the price. Thanks, Christy. I'm not going to keep you folks up too much longer here. Rather be in Michigan than Cali right now. I guess it depends on where you're at in Michigan or California. Any of the bigger cities right now are bad. I mean, even Austin, Texas right now is pretty bad. Michelle, happy birthday. I'm not going to dare ask you how old you are, because my wife says you don't do that. When the cash is gone, the gold and silver will be worthless. They're going to crypto. See, I disagree with that, because I do think they're going to switch to crypto at some point. The government is. Do I think it could get like Venezuela? Possibly. But the difference is, and I'm just basing this off the fact that for thousands of years, gold and silver's had value. People always want it. Number one, the banks right now are investing in silver big time. Number two, for example, if you have an ounce of silver, like you have the bullion coin and it's pure silver, I think you can barter it. You may not be able to go in a store per se, but you can barter it, and people would still want it. Um, you know, that's just my opinion. I wouldn't invest $200,000 in silver or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But I would have some on hand for barter. Gold's not really good for barter because it's so expensive. I mean, what are you going to trade it for? A generator or something maybe, but 12 cans of beans, I'm not trading an ounce of gold for that. I would have to be starving to death. Yeah, silver coins such as dimes, yeah, Jason, junk silver, stuff like that is really good to have on hand for barter. Digital dollar. Well, the government's playing around with a few different ones. I forget the names of them. The Prepared Mind, John over at the Prepared Mind was going over it the other night. John, Linda says, have you heard of those drones that shoot fire? No, I haven't. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it, but no, I haven't heard of that. And I think they're going to use the COVID. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? So they're going to use it for everything it's worth. They're going to implement every possible thing they can on the coattails of COVID before it's finally over. Just my opinion. Seeds will be more valuable than bullets. Yeah, long term. Short term, especially if there's a civil war, I would rather have bullets, but long term, seeds, especially heirloom seeds, man, you can't hardly find them right now. COVID is irrelevant now with the new Supreme Court pick, Okie. I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it's irrelevant to the mainstream media right now. They're not fixated on COVID anymore. Now they've got something to pivot to. Yeah. I wouldn't drop my guard on COVID until you know for sure that it's over. Let's see. Amazon single burner 1999. A good night, Ben. I wish I was in my bug out location, but I don't have the internet over there. I have freedom seeds. Well, I mean, hey, seeds are seeds, right? Seeds is the new currency. Yeah, food right now and bullets, and then long-term seeds are going to be everything. Because if they come at me with that reconstituted trash food, I would rather be growing my own food at that point. Good night, Cher. Yeah, no problem, Liz. I'm going to be off here shortly myself because I have to get up in the morning and go ahead and post a video for you folks. RJ, if you're talking about the are you talking about like the fish antibiotics? They are, if that's what it is, they're good as a backup option. I would still try and get the the real deal first if you can get them. Yeah, as a backup option, get them while you can get them. Try and get the real things as well. The standard, but yeah, they're barterable. They're going to be a huge barter item, I think, in the days to come. And most preppers know that they work. Best types of foods to prep for with kids, Josh B. I'm huge on carbs, to be quite frank. Spaghetti is really cheap, and kids typically love all the dried pastas and things like that, and the sauces are cheap, and they both hold for a while. And then also pancake mix. Kids love pancakes. Pancake mix is pretty cheap, and there's a high yield for what you're paying. So I would go with those two. And then canned fruits. Prepping plumber. Yeah, thank you, Prepping Plumber. I see Prepping Plumber everywhere. Every video live stream that I go to on YouTube, in terms of prepping, I see him in there, talking about stuff, things they will eat. Better to get something into them. Yeah. Pedialyte, that's a good one, actually. Spam. Whew, spam's tough. I can eat it. I can fry it and eat it. The rest of my family, they won't eat it. I mean, they would if they were starving, but you know what I'm saying? It's not their first or even their second choice. My wife will eat spam. She says if it comes down to Vienna sausages or spam, she's eating spam. Charleston Heston. Coconut water. That's also a very good one. Oatmeal. Yeah, Liz, that's great. Oatmeal. You cannot have enough oatmeal. And a lot of the freeze-dried foods, especially the Oxen farms, they go heavy on oatmeal. And then peanut butter or powdered peanut butter, if you can afford it, it holds a lot longer. At Gene, at Freedom Seeker. Let's see. Got to hit the hay. Yeah, I got to hit the hay too. I need to anyway. Powdered Gatorade. We have some of that here, Leah, and it's a good thing because I can't find it anywhere now. You find powdered Gatorade, go ahead and scoop it up if you can afford it. Thanks, James. Please hit that thumbs up. Hit it. Hit it. Thank you in advance. Fish mocks. Yep. Eat armadillo. Never had armadillo. I've been through like Texas and New Mexico, and it was beautiful, but way too hot for me to live there. Regular Clorox bleach. Yeah. We actually have folks that are talking about the bleach. Good night, Peter. If you're talking about the bleach, we actually go to the laundry aisle and you can buy, when you find it, like the bleach tablets. And one tablet makes an entire gallon of bleach. And we probably have, just in the tablets, we probably have 200 or 300 gallons worth of bleach. And you just refill a bleach container with water and drop a tablet in and wait a couple of hours. But yeah. Honey's awesome. It's one of my favorite things, Michael, to prep because the shelf life's pretty much indefinite and it's barterable. And I like honey. I mean, you can put it on a lot of things. I put it on pancakes sometimes. $5-gallon bucket of honey for $150. That's a lot of honey. I mean, if you can afford it, as long as it's good honey. Some of it's been filtered, and some of it is the cloudier honey is actually better for you. They say. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I've always heard that it's better for you. It all tastes good to me. Yeah, raw honey. Yeah. Medical kits, prepping plumber. If you can afford it, Bear Independent has awesome medical kits. You can get the smallest ones that he has, and they're awesome. And he's not paying me to say that, folks. I mean, they're just really good. But they're going to be out of some people's budgets. And so you just have to be smart with your medical kits and what you put together and stuff like that. Maple syrup. Yeah. It's got to be the real deal maple syrup, though. I think it's what I've always heard anyway, Jed. Like pure. I did not know, Scrappy Cat. I did not know that's how you made mead, actually. Wow. Maria, prep for your pets and animals as well. Yeah, that's a huge thing here because my two dogs eat like mini horses. We have a bunch of spam and like the canned meats and stuff stocked up. And when they get close to going out of date, we'll go ahead and replace them, but we don't eat the spam and stuff. We'll mix it in with the dog food here. And they love it a lot more than my family does. Unloading and reloading my pistol Freedom Seeker. Well, I mean, not weird. I mean, just be careful with it. Ramen Noodles. Jeremy Taylor. I mean, I don't know about a decade. They last a very long time. Ramen Noodles. I don't even know what the shelf life is on those things. I mean, they would last. If I was starving, I would eat them. Close to it. You know what I'm saying? Is there's nothing really to them. And they're good to prep. The ramen noodles are really good to prep because they're so cheap, but man, they're nothing but sodium once you mix that stuff in. They're not for people with high blood pressure. Just applying for jobs and watching you. Hey man, multitasking, if that's what you're doing. Sandbags on Amazon, 50 for 25. That's a good deal as long as the shipping's not going to kill you on those. 30 minutes. 1 year. Okay. Thank you, Jason. I wasn't sure. I knew they were a long time. They don't last a long time here, because my kids both like them. Penicillin from Tractor Supply. That's that's good. I didn't realize that. We have one nearby. Worminati. I would probably, if I was hungry enough, I would eat them after a year, you know. But yeah, folks, we're at the 2 hour mark. I can't believe that. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Yeah, let's get to 500 likes. Who put that? James, thank you very much. See if we can get to 500 likes, break a record or something. Makes great preps. That's awesome. Wow, just like that, we got like 20 likes. Thanks. Good day. Just like that, man. Thank y'all. Liz, love my Berkey. Berkeys are awesome. I mean, they're out of some people's price range, but they are fantastic. Just make sure you have enough filters on hand. Vaseline, that's awesome. Yeah, it's good for fire. A lot of people use they'll keep cotton balls with Vaseline. I use we actually use dryer lint. It catches like that. That's a good tip, Michael. Doritos are the best fire starters. Wow. Cheese Doritos. I ain't keeping those to start fires. I like to eat those. Oh, biscuits and gravy. It's Sons of Anarchy. I'll have another one on here next week. I got them all through my office and stuff like that. I think my wife gets tired of seeing them all up in the cabinets and stuff. But I pick them up here and there and everywhere from the Walmart and Goodwill to GameStop. I don't really get into the games too much, but I'll go into GameStop because they have cool coffee mugs and get them there. It doesn't matter. I would be dressed in camouflage and walk into a Victoria's Secret, and if they had good coffee mugs and buy one, I don't care. So it's my thing. Winter preps. Kelly, I would just make sure that I had an alternate heating source. I don't know what you have now. I'm huge on wood stoves and things like that. That's what we have at the bug out location. And because they never fail you, just make sure you have wood on hand. Some people are into the pellet stoves. I'm not really into those too much. Just the number one thing I would think of would be heat. But if you know what I'm saying, it just depends on how bad it gets there. Yeah, Christy, I'm with you on that. I think I'm going to head to bed as well. And Justin, I appreciate it. I'll have a video up I'll film it in the morning. It'll be up at around lunchtime. I have no idea what it's even going to be about. When my feet hit the floor, I will know in the morning. But I appreciate everybody being here and liking and subscribing. I appreciate all the donations and everything like that very much. And I hope that you guys have a blessed, I guess, rest of the night. It's after midnight here. So, yeah, thank you guys for being in here and listening to me ramble and stuff like that. Some good questions in here tonight and everything. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the morning. Thank you very much, and God bless.